I'm going to call to order the hearing upon the application of Kathleen and Matthew Lagan at 544 Brook Road, dated May 6, 2024, seeking a special permit to build a mudroom addition. The property is located in a Residence C zoning district. The mudroom addition would be built at a distance of 6 feet from the right side lot line when 10 are normally required by Article 10 275-10-3 side yards of the Milton zoning bylaw. I am Virginia Donahue King, and I am the zoning administrator and member of the Board of Appeals, and I will be making the decision, constituting the board and making the decision on this application this afternoon. In the file, I have the application for the building permit. I have the denial letter from our building inspector. I have a plot plan of the locus and where the mudroom would be built, the situation of that. And yeah, more of the same, some plans of what that mudroom would entail. So I see that we have both of the applicants here. I'm not sure who's going to be doing the speaking for you, but I'll turn that over to you right now, and you can explain a little bit about what you're doing and why you're doing it, and if you've talked to neighbors to see if they are in favor or have no opinion or against the proposal, and we'll take it from there.
Matt, do you want to?
Just before speaking, if you'd state your name and address so that we have a clear record of who's speaking at any point in time. Okay.
Yeah, Katie, I don't mind. Do you want to speak or do you want me to? Or?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So this is Matt Lagan. I live at 544 Brook Road. Yes, we have, working backwards, we have spoken to our neighbors. We have very good relationships with neighbors on both sides, Bill and Sam, who abut the side where the mudroom would be built. And then Bob and Carolyn asked them, and then the neighbors across the street, we have good relationships with them as well. And on our left side as well, that's Jan and Roland D'Angelo, so we have good relationships with them too. So what we plan on doing is, or hope to do rather, you can see from the plans, is where alongside our driveway, or actually our garage, we have a brick walkway that leads into a sunroom. And I'm trying to think of the best way in which you can see that. It is an existing brick walkway that kind of joins the sunroom, and what our goal is, what we'd like to do, is just effectively enclose that brick walkway. So it would, I guess, extend the garage theory, or it would look like the garage is a little bit bigger, just to the right of that garage. I'm not even sure if this is making sense. I wonder if it would make sense to share the screen, or
yeah, do you want to share a screen?
Yeah.
Okay.
You should be able to.
Yeah. Okay. Let me see here. On screen. Screen 2. Okay. So can you see okay where I'm moving my cursor?
Yes.
Oh, great. All right. Technology. So where this doorway, you can see these shaded areas. This has already been approved and built up here above the garage. So what we would like to do is, where my cursor is, this is a brick walkway that if you follow it down, it leads into this sunroom by a little staircase here and a porch door here that goes into our sunroom right here. So what we would love to do is enclose it. So we would build this and then just build a wall up here with the door, so that it would give us this distance, 15 feet of mudroom. So we would use that as our primary entry point instead of the front door, which is what we're doing right now and have done forever. So our front door goes right into our living room, and it kind of gets trashed with the kids and the shoes and everything else. So we would love to have this entryway right off the driveway, so that this room gets trashed and we keep our living room somewhat inhabitable. And so Bill and Sam abut us here, and they have no problem with it. They're fine, and we have a really good relationship with them. So hopefully that makes sense. I wish I had an overhead in which I could show you, but
No, that
Yeah.
that works very well. I got a good idea of what this will be looking like. And your neighbors to the right, was that Bob and Carolyn?
so yeah, there are two houses down. So they're on the other side of Bill and Sam. So if you look at our house here, straight on, Bill and Sam are right here, and then Bob and Carolyn are one more over.
Oh, okay, wait a minute. Oh, okay. So, gotcha. So they're at 548 Brook Road.
I think so, Katie. Can
Yeah,
you-
that's correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Bob and Carolyn are 554.
554.
554.
And the DeAngelis's are 538.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay. So I assume that you'll be finishing this small piece of an addition according to the plans that you've submitted, and they'll be fitting in with the existing home and the recent addition to the home, et cetera.
Yep. We're just going to
Okay.
follow this exactly. And this actually came out really good because it looks like it's been part of the house. He was able to match the siding and everything really, really well. So this, using the same siding and the same builder with the same plans, it should flow pretty seamlessly.
Very good. Okay. Is there anybody that else wanted to speak about the application? Or shall we make a decision right now?
I don't see any hands.
Okay, well, I'm going to close the evidentiary portion of the hearing and let you know that this is a small this is a small area that is going to be enclosed. The neighbors to that side, the most affected neighbors, already have something that is 6 feet away from their property line, and they're happily living with that. And they have expressed their opinion that they'll be happy with this additional addition as well. So who am I to argue with the neighbors? And so it's great that you've talked to your neighbors and you have a good idea of what they like and what they don't like. And it's wonderful to have that communication. So I'm hereby granting the special permit for this last bit of work that needs to be done to complete your house and be able to not trash your living room anymore.
Well, thank you very much.
Also,
Great, thank you.
congratulations on your special permit.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Thanks.
Okay, so that concludes the hearing on 544 Brook. We will be re-adjourning at 4:15 to discuss 8 Thistle. It is now 4:15, so we can
Okay,
commence.
call to order the second hearing of the afternoon upon the application of Paul and Andrea Doherty, the homeowners at 8 Thistle Avenue, dated May 6, 2024, seeking to renew a special permit for the in-law temporary apartment previously on file with the Board of Appeals pursuant to the terms of Section 3A9, Chapter 10 of the General Zoning Bylaw of the Town of Milton, so as to continue to use the temporary in-law apartment for Linda Doherty, sister-in-law of the applicant, with the existing dwelling located in accordance with the special permit originally granted by the board on January 13th, 1994. Section 3A9 limits temporary in-law apartments within single-family dwellings for a period of 4 years. subject to the issuance of a special permit, which may be extended by the board. The property is located in a Residence C zoning district. And I am Virginia Donahue King. I am the zoning administrator and member of the Board of Appeals. Will be constituting the board for this application for a special permit for temporary apartment. This is an easy one to do because we just have to make sure that everything is the same as it was
Yeah.
before.
Yes.
Things tend not to change without some kind of stimulus. This is probably an easy one. So I see that the applicants are here, and I'll just ask us a couple of questions. You're still the owners of the property in question,
Yes.
and you have at least 50% interest in the property and will have their primary residence in the principal dwelling quarters.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Let's see. The tenant is a sister or sister-in-law.
Yeah.
Okay, of one of the owners, which is one of the relationships named by the bylaw as being acceptable. Let's see. The work to be performed to dismantle the apartment and the cost of such work will be reasonable, although we're not talking about dismantling it right now, but at the end of the tenancy of this special permit, this temporary apartment, there will be no exterior modifications or a new entrance. The lot is still of an adequate size and no adverse impact on the neighbors, and there is adequate space for the driveway for parking. And the size of the temporary apartment has not changed, and the house would be less than the maximum permitted. So unless there's anything that you need to add to that,
No?
that's about all the information that I need. So
Okay. Yeah.
I'm going to close the evidentiary portion of the hearing and let you know that there's every reason to renew the special permit for this, since it has not changed. It's been working very well for quite some number of years right now, and there's no reason that we should get in the way of that. So congratulations on extending renewing the permit for that temporary apartment, and good luck co-housing.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Thanks
much.
so much. Appreciate
Take care
it.
now.
Okay. So that went quickly. So you're all
Yeah.
set.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Now 4:30.
Okay. We're going to call to order the continued meeting, the continued hearing, continued from May 20th, on the application of Caitlin and Bin at 633 Adams Street to add the porch to the rear of their home. Since the last meeting, the file has grown larger, and the people have become more as Attorney McKettrick has been consulted and retained by the applicants in furtherance of their granting of that special permit. And the neighbors that were not pleased with the idea of the application have submitted several documents from the Norfolk County Registry of Deeds outlining a lot of changes in the property ownership of 633 and what is included in that lot and so forth, as well as they had mentioned that there was in their deed, that the right-of-way was mentioned on their deed. And it is mentioned on their deed. But it is mentioned as a border, as Adams Street is a border. It doesn't mean that you own Adams Street because that's a border. It means that you abut Adams Street because of that. So again, they abut the right-of-way, but the right-of-way is not given to them. That easement has not been given to them. So I'm finding that they have no real interest in that area. that 15 feet area between the two homes. And so it makes my decision a lot easier. I would like to let Attorney McKettrick briefly go through. I have read your letter, and I appreciate all of that. And it's if you just want to give an overview of that, that might be helpful for the record, and we can continue from there.
Okay, thank you. And I'm Mary McKettrick. I am representing the applicants for this second hearing. And just to explain how I came to be here, at least partially, I happened to have a hearing on the 20th after Ben and Caitlin's hearing. And so I listened to their hearing, and then they later contacted me to ask about trying to get more research done on their title history and, you know, some of the questions that came up at that hearing, the things they were requested to produce to the board. So I said I would do that. And I just want to say that this kind of case where you have to start looking into title histories and surrounding properties is very interesting to me. I know it's not fun for the owners and the neighbors because, you know, you don't know exactly what's true and what isn't true. And you're all very anxious and nervous, and people get upset and start, you know, having arguments before they've really found out necessarily what the truth may be. So I found it very interesting. And so I'm just going to very quickly tell you what I learned. And my letter is a lot longer and has lots of title references. So if anyone wants to look any of this up in the Registry of Deeds, they certainly can do so. What I found when I looked at this property, 633 Adams Street, is that it consists of 3 parcels. The front parcel is a land court parcel. That means it's gone through the process of being approved on a land court plan. Land court plans are very good to have because the borders are, carefully surveyed. The standards are higher. So you can't have adverse possession against a lot shown on a land court plan. So the first lot in the front, where the frontage is and where the house is located, is a land court plan recorded in the 1920s, I think, and it does actually show the outline of the house. So the setbacks as they were established at that time are the same pretty much as what the surveyor found when he did a new survey recently. In back of that lot is another lot, which is not land court land. And by the way, land court land is called registered land, but that doesn't mean that other land is not registered. Other land is simply registered in a different title registration system. When you go to the Registry of Deeds in Norfolk County, you'll find there are 2 places where you can look up deeds. If you have a land court property, you go to the land court and research the title there. If it's regular land, you go to the regular part of the registry. We do this all online now. We don't have to go to the registry. The third parcel, and both of those parcels, by the way, are about the same size. So altogether, just those 2 parcels alone give the applicants 9,500 square feet. So they have an ample lot for this part of town. They only have 50 feet of frontage on Adams Street, which is the frontage for the land court parcel. The third parcel is the passageway, and that's the passageway that I think has caused a lot of confusion here. Interestingly enough, for no particular reason, it's called a passageway. It's not called a right-of-way. It's not called a private way. And at various times before these applicants owned the property, that passageway was owned in common with several other people. In one case, for a number of years, 2 different couples owned the passageway and 2 adjacent lots. So it's a little bit confusing when you start going back through the title history because you find references to the passageway and to rights in others to use the passageway. So then the whole question before us is who has the title to the land in the passageway? And probably even more important, who has the right to use the passageway? I had to research title history for for 631 Adams Street, 633 Adams Street, 635 Adams Street, and for all the little lots behind 633 Adams Street. And it turns out that the situation is a little bit unusual. The history for 631 Adams Street is separate. There was never common ownership of any of these lots with 631 Adams Street. So even though 631 Adams Street borders the passageway, there's no reference in any deed to a right of passage on the passageway or easement rights in the passageway. And 631 Adams Street is set as it's a very old house set in the middle of the lot. There's space on either side of the lot so that you could access the rear of the lot if you wanted to. The situation is different for 635 Adams Street. That was once owned in common with 631. And while it was owned in common, apparently the owners of 635
633.
built a
I'm sorry, that was 633.
I'm sorry, 635, 633 were owned in common. Sorry, I do mix these up. 635, the owners built a garage behind their house. But they can't get to the garage because there's only a very narrow area on either side of their lot. It wasn't a problem because they also owned in common. These were two couples, so they may have been related. They also owned 633 Adams Street. And so they drove down the passageway next to 633, and then they turned in the backyard and went to their garage. But when they sold 633 Adams Street, they retained a right to access their garage. And so as a result of that, 635 Adams Street has a easement right, an access right down the passageway. And although it's not shown on any plan, in order to get to the garage, they have to cross that rear lot at 633 Adams Street. So that's the primary easement right, and it still exists. And there really isn't any way for 635 to get to their garage except using that easement. That's important because for zoning purposes, it doesn't change this case. But for zoning purposes, that means that even though 633 Adams Street has the title to the passageway, it's still a passageway. And our Milton zoning law says you can't count the area of a passageway for either setbacks or area. So to establish the area of this lot, you only look for the front lot and the back lot. You don't include the area of the passageway, and you don't include the 15-foot width of the passageway. That's technically for zoning purposes. The fact is the passageway has to stay open. It's always going to give a 15-foot setback to the neighbors at 631 Adams Street. And that is important, I think, for this case. So that's my quick summary of the title history. That's what I found. It was really quite interesting, and it was surprising. I was expecting perhaps to find a deeded right to use the passageway for the neighbors at 631, but I didn't find it. So now for this application, I had to start at the beginning because I didn't represent these applicants at the beginning. And I went back and I studied their survey plot plan, which is an actual on-the-ground survey. I studied their architectural plan. And I know this was explained at the last meeting, but I just want to say again, the architectural plan shows that what they're planning to do is create a deck across the back of their house. And they're going to enter the deck from side entrances. This is a two-family house in each two-family unit. And the entrances to those two-family units are already there. There's already a landing and a stairs on each side. And for zoning purposes, again, you don't count a landing and stairs when you count setbacks. So until the deck was built, the existing non-conforming setback was, I think, something like six point something feet on one side, 7 feet on the other side. Now, when you add the deck and you connect those landings, then the edge of the deck all the way around the landing becomes the setback. And so the setbacks technically get smaller. And that's where technically you see an intensification of a nonconformity in this case, because technically the setback is reduced when you connect the deck around the back. So the standard for intensifying or extending a pre-existing nonconforming use, this house was built in 1920, is a standard established in a 2019 Brookline case, and it's a special permit. So the standard for a special permit is no substantial, and the standard, by the way, expressed in that case, is no substantial increased detriment to surrounding properties. So the interesting part of this case is that while technically the setback changes when you connect a deck, in reality, the side setback doesn't change at all. It's exactly the same distance now on the sides from each neighbor as it is when there's only a landing and stairs. And that's the basis for an argument in this case, that there is no substantial detriment to surrounding properties. I will note that the neighbor at 635 Adams Street did send, I was only able to send it today, but they did provide a letter of support. And the house at 635 is even closer. It's the side landing and stairs are even closer to 635. In fact, much closer than to 631, because in 631, there's a 15-foot passageway that separates the lot line for 631 from the landing and stairs at 633 Adams Street. So that's my quick summary. You had some of these facts at the last hearing, and I know you talked about them. I don't see any reason to dwell on them or take a lot more time. I think what is interesting, though, is the lot history. And I watched the hearing, and I was confused myself as to what the situation might be. So I hope some of this information is helpful. Happy to answer questions or give you more details if you'd like.
No, that's wonderful. Thank you very much, Attorney McKettrick. I assume there's no more evidence going to be taken? No more evidence that needs to come in? I think we
I don't think so. I guess I would just mention that, as you recall, the neighbor, I think in an email, talked about their concern that the driveway had been paved and they thought over their lot line. I just give you a little bit more background on that, which is that the applicants explained to me that that repaving took place right around the time that the neighbors bought their property at 631. And prior to that time, the neighbors on that side and these applicants had discussed the paving of the driveway and had agreed that was fine, that it would be paved a little bit over the lot line at the top part of the driveway. Everybody was fine with that at the time. But there's no written agreement. There was no easement agreement. And as I've explained to the applicants, there's therefore no legal right to leave that pavement on that edge of pavement on the neighbor's property. So although I don't think it's directly relevant to this application, the applicants have gone out and found a landscape contractor, and they have a contract to remove that strip of pavement at the top part of the driveway. And they will do that. They could have done it before the hearing, but they're still talking to the neighbors. The question is, when they remove the pavement, there'll be a strip of dirt. Do they want grass there, or what are they going to do? That's on the neighbor's land. So the applicants can't really just do something to that, but they have to get permission. So that's kind of still pending as to exactly how that's going to be done. And it's just one of those unfortunate circumstances that comes about when you have one neighbor and another neighbor and they agree to something, but then later somebody else moves in. When you do something, even a tiny strip of something on a neighbor's lot, you don't have a legal right to leave it there necessarily. And I think everybody understands that now. And I'm expecting that they'll work on a resolution that's satisfactory and will promote a good relationship too in the future. So that's my report.
Thank you. So given that all we've learned since the last hearing, that there is no interest there is no interest in the passageway by the owners of 631, and there certainly is in the owners of 633. The fact that even though technically the bylaw doesn't allow that 15 feet to be within the setback set for something, we can't ignore the fact that there are 15 feet there. And that means that there's always going to be 15 feet there with nothing on it. And so that is a help to 631. And so I see no reason for 633 to be penalized by the fact that they have an easement that actually makes 631 seem far more spacious in their property. So given that, and that there is no property ownership of that right of way of 631, I'm granting the application as stated for the completion of the porch out the back. And I think it took a lot of effort on your part to come up with that solution, and having a two-family house that the people know each other in and want to be with each other. So that's great. And I'm glad that you're going to be able to have that opportunity to do that. And it's always good to get a history lesson. And I think sometimes the history teaches us that, we want to make things a little less complex in the back of our minds, but we have to deal with what we have. And we do have an area that's tight. It's certainly tighter on the left-hand side than the right-hand side. But I find that there will be no increased detrimental effect from this very small and modest porch being put up 10 feet further in the back, that it will not detract from the other houses around it. And in fact, can probably make the neighborhood even better. So I hope that this will put some distance between the distance, or not distance between, I hope this will make the distance between you and your neighbors a little smaller, and you'll be able to, smaller in the theoretical sense as opposed to the land space. And that now that you're better understanding of the rights and responsibilities of each party, that will ease your neighborhood quite a bit. And I wish you much luck with your new porch.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank you. Do you want me to try to write a draft decision?
Yeah,
Would
that would be great. That would be great. Yeah.
Right. I'm happy to do that. And I very much appreciate the time that you've put into this and the extra hearing, because we learned a lot.
We certainly did. We certainly did. Maybe that's a good reason for doing these things, right?
All right.
Good
Thank
luck
you.
and take care.
Good
Thank you so
night.
much. Have a great day.
Thanks all.
Thank you, Bill.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You have a good evening.
You too.
Now, Bill, you're off for the rest of the week, is it?
No, I'll be in, but next week I'm out.
Next week you're out. Okay. Because I'm out Thursday and Friday. So I'm not sure I'll be able to get these to you before you go away then.
Okay.
But anyway, as they come in, I'll bring them up there anyway.
Yeah, drop them off. Katina will take them in, and then I can go over things.
Okay. And the other thing, I realized that I must have picked up the Putnam case.
Okay.
So in case you're missing that, it's here. It'll be safe. I'll bring it back to you. It's not the whole thing though. It's just a big paper-clipped piece of the file. I think it might be the extra one or something like that. But if you're looking for it, I have it. Don't worry.
Thank you. I will appreciate getting those back. Yeah, that must have been because I had set aside the other files for 6:33.
Exactly. Well, it makes sense that
and
they'd be together. Yeah, it made sense. So because I was like, wait a minute, didn't I write this one already? But then I realized what must have happened.
Yeah, it was just I think waiting for those files to come back to put the hard copy in. Okay, sorry about that.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. I have it. Don't want you to worry about it.
Great. Thank you very much for your help today. And
have a good evening.
As always, you too. Bye-bye.
Ciao.